Planning is a training prior of what to do and how to do. It is one of the primary managerial duties. Before doing something, the managers must form an opinion on how to work on a specific job. Hi, myself Dr. Rita Singh Rathore, and today's topic is a planning of management. Now, if I ask that what is planning? So planning is the process of setting organizational goals, defining strategies, and developing action plans to achieve objectives. Because here it is one of the primary managerial duties. Before doing something, the manager must form an opinion on how to work on a specific job. Hence, planning is firmly correlated with discovery and creativity. But the manager would first have to set goals. Planning is an essential step what managers at all levels takes. It requires making decisions since it includes selecting a choice from alternative ways of performance. Now it's the time to discuss about the importance of planning. What is the importance of it? Why to plan about? So planning is the first and most important function of management. It guides decision making, it enhances organizational efficiency, it facilitates goal setting and the resource allocation because it is needed at every level of management. In the absence of planning, all the business activities of the organization will become meaningless. The importance of planning has increased all the more in view of the increasing size of organizations and their complexities. Like according to the size, according to the complexities, you will plan everything accordingly. So planning has again gained importance because of uncertain and constantly changing business environment. And in the absence of planning, it may not be impossible but certainly difficult to guess the uncertain events of the future. Now next is the types of planning. Which type of the plans you will make for your organization? These are four: strategical, tactical, operational and the contingency. So here for the strategic planning, if you talk about, then it is for the long term goals because it is defining a company's directions and goals and allocating its resources to pursue them. It consists of analyzing the competitive environment and identifying external and internal factors that can affect the organization. Because for an example of a strategic planning for any company that offers project management software and wants to expand its customer base and increase revenue would be the different. So accordingly it will be planned. Then the operational planning will be there. So in the operational planning, it is a process of defining specific actions and resources needed to achieve the goals set out in the strategic plan. So whatever you have planned in the strategic planning, during the time of the strategic planning, whatever you plan to achieve it, and it involves developing detailed plans and the budgets to implement the strategies and tactics outlined in the strategic plan and identifying and addressing any potential risk or challenges that may arise. And next is the tactical planning. So in the tactical planning, it develops plans and the action to achieve the goals set out in the operational plan. So everything is interconnected. First is the strategic planning, then the operational, and then the tactical planning. And it involves breaking down the larger goals and objectives into the smaller. So whichever the goal organization want to achieve, that here you can make it in a multiple parts in a smaller. So more manageable tasks that can be completed within a shorter time frame, typically ranging from a few weeks to a few months. Here, tactical planning includes developing content marketing, campaign, promoting new features, and assigning tasks. Now, the last is a contingency planning. What is that? So, it is a process of identifying potential risks or challenges that may arise and developing plans to mitigate or address them. To ensure the success of the launch of a new feature, like for any company develops a contingency plan to mitigate potential risks or challenges that may arise. So for this, that whatever the risk will be there, to analyze all the things, the contingency planning will be there. Whereas it will go for the date, like the regular observation will be there relevant to the risk. So see, this way there are the four types of the plannings are there: strategic planning, tactical planning, contingency planning and operational planning. After discussing about that, what is planning, how many types of planning is there, what is the importance of planning, now this is a planning process, that what are the main steps of the planning. So whenever you want to plan something, very first step is that to evaluate the current situation, that what is the main situation is there, because as all we know is deciding in advance what to do and how to do, and it is a process of decision making. So how do we go about making a plan? And since planning is an activity, there are certain logical steps are there. We need to set the objectives. So whilst every organization must have certain objectives, because objectives may set off for the entire organization and each department or until within the organization. Objectives or goals specify what the organization wants to achieve. It could mean an increase in sale by the 20%, 50% or 10%, which could be objective of the entire organization. How all departments would contribute to the organizational goals in the plan, that is to be drawn up. So objectives should be stated clearly for all the departments, units and the employees, and they give direction to the all other departments and departments until they need to set their own objectives within the broad framework of the organizational philosophy. Then need to develop some of the premises also, which type of the plans you want to develop, which is very important. So planning is concerned with the future, which is uncertain, and every planner is using conjecture about what might happen in the future. So therefore the manager is required to make certain assumptions about the future, and these assumptions are called premises. Assumptions are the base material upon which plans are to be drawn. The base material may be in the form of the forecast, existing plans, or any past information about the policies. They need to identify alternative courses or the action, which type of the actions will be taken by the manager. So once objectives are set, assumptions are made, then the next step would be to act upon them. How to execute the plan. So first the develop, then the implementation of the plan. Also we could say how after creating the plan, how you will implement the plan. So here there may be many ways to act and achieve objectives. All the alternative courses of the action should be identified. The course of action which may be taken could be either routine or innovative. An innovative course may be adopted by involving more people and sharing their ideas. If the project is important, then more alternative should be generated and thoroughly discussed amongst the members of the organization. After executing the plan, after implementing the plan, evaluation is very much required. Evaluating alternative courses. The next step is to weigh to the pros and cons of each alternative. Each course will have many variables which have to be weighed against each other. The positive and the negative aspects of the each proposals need to be evaluated in light of the objectives to be achieved. In financial plans, for example, the risk return trade off is very common. The more risky the investment, the higher the returns is the likely to give. So to evaluate such proposals, detailed calculation of earnings per share, interest, taxes, dividends are made and decisions taken. And after that, selecting an alternate. After the implementing the plan and monitoring everything, what is the alternative is there with you. So there is the real point of decision making. The best plan has to be adopted and implemented. The ideal plan, of course, would be the most feasible, profitable, and with least negative consequences. So most plans may not always be subjected to the mathematical analysis. In such cases, subjectively and the manager's experience, judgment, and at times intuitions play more important part in the selecting the most valuable alternative. So after that, after choosing that also, you may implement the plan. Then we need to check up the follow-up of the action. Whichever the action you have taken, for that you need to follow that to see whether the plans are being implemented and activities are performed according to the schedule is also part of the planning process. So monitoring to ensure the objectives achieved. Then the after that, these plans can be classified in the single use plan and the standing plans. After all the observation, which one is chosen by you, which is the single use plan. So a single use plan is developed for a one time event or the project. Such a course of action is not likely to be repeated in future. So they are for non-recurring situation, and the duration of this plan may depend upon the type of the project. What is the project is there for this particular subject, what the plan you have made. and it will be used at once. So it may span a week or a month. It's all up to your project. A project may sometimes be your only one day, such as organizing an event, a seminar, or the conferences. So these plans include budget, programs, and the projects, and they consist of the details including the name of the employees, who are the main person or responsible for doing the work, and the contributing the single use plan. For example, there is a program may consist of the identifying steps and the procedures required for opening a new department to deal with other minor work. So projects are similar to program, but they differ in the scope and the complexity. So a budget is a statement of expenses, revenue, and income a specified period. Then the standing plan will be there. So accordingly, the multiple steps are there. Like first thing is that you need to evaluate the what is the current situation is there, what's your goal is there, to achieve your goal what type of the risk are there. Accordingly you will create the plan. After creating the plan you will execute the plan. After the execution, in between you will do the monitoring of the plan, you will review and revise the plan, and you will determine the situation. So accordingly all the things are there. This is the overall circle of the planning process, and which is very important, and your each and every steps will be taken by the keen observation of the manager. There are multiple benefits or of the strategic planning. Multiple uh, profits are there for the planning, for the clarify goals and the expectations, to improve resource allocation, to enhances coordination amongst the team. So accordingly these planning facilitates management by the objectives, and planning begins with the determination of the objectives. So it highlights the purpose for which various activities are to be undertaken. In fact, it makes objectives more clear and specific. So with the planning you can make everything very clear, and without planning an organization has no guidance at all. An organization can't achieve a very decided goal without the planning. So therefore planning brings order and the rationality into the organization, and it minimizes the uncertainties. And business, because see, business is a full of uncertainties, so there are risks of various types due to uncertainties, but planning helps in reducing uncertainties of future, as it involves anticipation of future events. So all the future cannot be predicted with 100% accuracy, but planning helps management to anticipate future and prepare for risk by necessary provision to meet unexpected turn of the events. Planning facilitates coordination also, because it involves around organizational goals. All activities are directed towards the common goals, and there is an integrated efforts throughout the enterprises in various departments and the group. So it helps in finding out problems to work performance and aims to rectifying the same. It improves the employees' morale also, because planning creates an atmosphere of order and discipline in organization. It knows in a employee knows in advance what is expected of them. When the planning is clear, then employees knows what is expected of them, and therefore conformity can be achieved easily. This encourages employees to show their best and also earn reward for the same. If the planning is there, it helps in achieving economies also, because effective planning secures economy since it leads to orderly allocation of resources and the various operations. It also facilitates optimum utilization of resources, which brings economy in operations. It avoids the wastage of the resources. So planning facilitates controlling also. Planning provides competitive edge also, and planning encourage innovation, because planning is basically a decision making function which involves creative thinking and imagination that ultimately leads to innovation of method and operations for growth and prosperity of the enterprises. Hence planning in any organization is very beneficial if you plan accordingly, and whatever the goal you want to achieve for your organization and for yourself individually, if planning is clear, so you may reduce the risk. Uncertainties are there, but then also you will not face such a huge losses, and overall you would be able to achieve your goals definitely if your plans are clear. As we know very well that the planning is very important for each and every organization to achieve the goal, and it's very beneficial, and the process is also very clear, but then also so many challenges are also there which any manager has to face during the time of the planning, which are just type of the barrier. So it is a frustrating to spend time creating a strategy plan for your company and then see it fail. So as a business owner you need to understand that what the challenges are there that prevent the planning from being implemented successfully. So for these barriers could be the many types, like the maybe the leader is not very much efficient person. So it requires developing a strategy and then expressing the vision in a clear way so the entire team understands the goal. This is a duty of the leader. So when the leader is able to make the vision clear to the entire team, so it will be easy to make it successful. Even when leaders do all this well, they still need to constant motivators. They should be a part of the work. Project managers and the evaluators of the strategies implementation. Because without motivation, new strategies fall behind as workers return to their habitual ways of the doing things. Because exclusive distractions could be there. Maybe the people could be distracted for the execution of the planning. So too many distractions present a significant barrier of effective planning. It could be that a leader is trying to implement too many things at once and the team is confused about the priorities. It could be maybe the lack of the system also could be there. Having the right system in the one place, support and new strategy important for the success. System could include hardware or software system or could be something as simple as the fulfillment process chain of events. So leaders need to look at the resources in place before implementing a new strategies. Fine. For example, there is a new customer retention program might help the team become more efficient from the sale through the delivery of the goods. So if the customer systems haven't been upgraded, a new program could overload the computer and cause crashes and the freezes. So team members can't be productive and while using a system that isn't working correctly. Maybe the limited manpower could be the reason of the failure. Maybe the inadequate resources and funding may be the reason. Maybe impractical business planning could be there because some ideas are just not practical. Don't be stubborn about the execution of a new strategies. A strategy is a concept that is fleshed out during implementation. And business leaders must be flexible to see what is working and what isn't working in that strategy and make adjustment accordingly. Because something seems like a good idea or a paper doesn't mean it will translate into a practice without any glitches. So the leaders need to practice about. So this way multiple reasons could be there. Maybe the managers have a fairly clear idea of the company's strategies and the missions, whether your staff has the same understanding and whether the business operations are set of the maximizing strategic advances in the different questions. So without consistent alignment of operations and strategies, your small business will face problems executing that core mission of the organization. So for the development of the organization, everything should be very clear, relevant to the resources, relevant to the clarity, relevant to the communication, relevant to the planning, relevant to the any uncertain things. The things should be very much clear during the time of the execution of the work, execution of the planning. So these type of the barriers are there. If we think plan accordingly and we make ourselves and the team to ready to face the barriers and to if you cross all the barriers, then you may achieve the goals in a very brilliant way. After being familiar with the relevance of the planning, that how important it is, what type of the barriers are there, how we can eradicate all the barriers, we need to go through that which type of the tools and the techniques we will use during the time of the planning of the organization. So very common example of the planning tools or like the SWOT analysis is there, for which I already made one presentation for, so you may go through it, and in the brief I can brief it again about that the SWOT in the sense that the strength, weakness, opportunities and threats of the organization. So you need to analyze which strength, what are the very strengthful points of the organization, which are the weaker points of the organization, which type of the opportunities are there which you can achieve, and which type of the threats are there, which are the barriers in your way. And in the next there is a pestle analysis is there, which is relevant to the political, economical and the social culture and the technological environment of the organization. It will be based of the analysis of the in which country, which region, which political system is there, what type of the economic situation is there, which type of the culture is there, which type of the people are there, like the culture, religion based multiple things, the analysis you will do to make any plan for your organization, that will come in the part of the based analysis. Whereas you will go for the rules and regulations of the government, so accordingly you will plan everything, then you'll execute any plan in your organization. Then the scenario planning, which type of the scenario is going on, which type of the competitors are there in the market, if the same product you want to launch over there, and which type of the other things are there. So accordingly there are the multiple types of the tools are there to make your plan successful. You may go through these all things, because it is a very well structured planning in the sword and the pestle both, and in the scenario also you need to know about. Then you plan accordingly, you use these all tools and techniques to frame out all the things for your organization. Then you create something, and then you execute the program and go through the process of the planning. Planning is one of the most essential part of any work done, and it's no until it is implemented. So planning is a very essential for achieving goals, and it involves defining objectives, evaluating, and the implementing plan. Because business plans is strength designed to convince the readers of the company's success, because companies typically create business plans to get funding or investors. The conclusion should focus on how the organization makes money and why it is good investment. So that's why the planning is very important for each and every organization, because it's making critical decisions that will allow a company to grow successfully in the coming years. So as a result, planning entails defining the goals and devising a strategy to achieve it. That's why the planning is very important. So here one more time, I'm done with the planning of the management, whereas I have explained everything about the planning, what the planning is, how many types of the plannings are there, what is the importance of the planning, what are the barriers are there in the planning, and which technical tools we will use to plan, and overall what is the overall relevance of the planning, what will happen if we don't plan, and what are the positive features of the planning. So overall, yes, planning is very important for the growth of the organization. So that's why we need to know about, and we need to be very much familiar about the technical tools to for the planning execution in the management for the any organization. So I am done with it. So, and next I'll come again for the beginners, some more features about the management to make you familiar how you could be very much skilled manager in your organization. Thank you. See you again.